Welcome back to the Coins Numismatic Series, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, history, and the treasures hiding in plain sight inside your pocket change. Today's episode is going to be one of the most exciting ones yet. We're covering 3 of the most intriguing, rare, and valuable Lincoln pennies that collectors around the world are constantly chasing. And trust me, you'll want to stay all the way through this video, because any one of these coins could potentially be sitting in your coin jar right now. Let's get started with the first coin on our list. 1990 D Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The 1990 D Lincoln penny may at first glance look like any ordinary coin you'd find in circulation. But when we dig into its history and the rare errors associated with it, we uncover a coin that has fascinated collectors for decades. Historical context. By 1990, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for more than 80 years. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. Over the decades, it underwent a few major changes. The original reverse featured 2 wheat stalks, known as the wheat cent, minted from 1909 to 1958. Then, starting in 1959, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial, in honor of Lincoln's 150th birthday. By 1990, the penny was still featuring the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The coin was being minted in huge numbers across different mints, but the Denver Mint, which produced the 1990 D coin, had a particularly interesting situation in terms of die varieties and errors. Another crucial point about 1990 is that it was just 8 years after the U.S. Mint had transitioned from the copper-based Lincoln cents to the copper-plated zinc planchets. Beginning in 1982, pennies were no longer made of 95% copper. Instead, they were made of a zinc core with a thin layer of copper plating. This change not only altered the physical weight of the coins but also introduced new opportunities for minting errors. Design features. The obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, features the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln. The word Liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's profile, while the date, 1990, and the mint mark, D, for Denver appear to the right. Above Lincoln's head is the inscription, "In God We Trust." The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial, with the word United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum above the memorial, and 1 cent below. An interesting fact is that if you look closely at the memorial, you can see a tiny depiction of the statue of Lincoln seated inside, making this one of the few coins in the world to feature the same individual on both sides. Mintage. The Denver Mint struck more than 4.9 billion pennies in 1990, making the 1990 D penny extremely common at first glance. With such massive mintage, you'd expect these coins to have little to no collector premium. But this is where things get interesting, because certain errors and varieties elevate this coin into the realm of serious collectors. Errors and varieties. The most famous error associated with the 1990 D Lincoln cent is the no S proof cent confusion. While the Denver Mint didn't produce proofs, 1990 became famous for a rare proof penny struck at the San Francisco Mint missing the S mint mark. That error made collectors take a much closer look at all 1990 pennies. But beyond that, several varieties exist for the 1990 D penny. Double die obverse, DDO. Some examples of the 1990 D show doubling on the obverse lettering, particularly noticeable in God We Trust, and Liberty. These doubling errors result from a misalignment when the die imprints the coin. Repunched mint mark, RPM. In 1990, mint marks were still punched into dies by hand. As a result, some 1990 D pennies show a repunched D, where the mint mark looks doubled or shifted. Off-center strikes. Some examples exist where the design is struck off-center, exposing blank planchet areas. The further off-center, the more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains visible. Broad strikes and wrong planchets. Rare cases of 1990 D cents being struck on wrong planchets, such as dimes or foreign coins, have been discovered, making them incredibly rare and sought after. Market value and collector interest. In circulated condition, a normal 1990 D penny is worth only face value. However, the errors tell a completely different story. For example, a high-grade 1990 D with strong doubling can sell for hundreds of dollars. Repunched mint mark varieties are also highly collectible, fetching between $20 to several hundred depending on condition. Off-center strikes vary widely, with values starting around $50 and climbing into the thousands if the error is dramatic and the date is visible. Coins mistakenly struck on dime planchets or foreign blanks are almost priceless to specialists. The demand for these coins is fueled by both error collectors and Lincoln cent specialists. Since Lincoln cents are the most widely collected series in U.S. numismatics, even minor varieties draw strong attention. The 1990 D penny is especially attractive because it represents a modern-era coin that's still accessible to searchers who enjoy coin roll hunting. 1982 Lincoln penny 1 cent coin. If you've spent any time around coin collectors or numismatic forums, you've probably heard about the 1982 Lincoln cent. This is, without exaggeration, one of the most important years in the entire Lincoln cent series, and for good reason. The 1982 penny represents a pivotal transition in U.S. coinage, where the mint permanently changed the very metal composition of the cent. That decision didn't just change the way pennies look and feel, it created a whole web of varieties, errors, and collecting opportunities that continue to fascinate collectors more than 40 years later. Historical context. To understand why 1982 is so important, we need to step back and look at the economics of the U.S. mint in the late 1970s and early 1980s. For decades, the Lincoln cent had been struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc, with each penny weighing 3.11 grams. But by the late 1970s, the price of copper began climbing significantly. In fact, there were times when the intrinsic value of the copper inside a single penny was worth more than 1 cent. This created a serious problem for the mint. Not only was it costly to produce the coin, but there were fears that people might start hoarding or even melting pennies for their metal value. After much debate, in 1982 the U.S. Mint made a historic change. It replaced the nearly all-copper planchets with a new composition, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. These new coins were much lighter, weighing only 2.5 grams compared to the older 3.11 grams. This change didn't happen instantly. Instead, both copper and zinc cents were minted during the year 1982. And because dies were prepared with both large and small date styles, the year ended up producing an incredible 8 different official varieties, not even counting the many errors. That's what makes the 1982 penny such a centerpiece for Lincoln cent collectors. Design features. The obverse was the same as it had been since 1909, Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," curve along the top, "Liberty" is to Lincoln's left, and the date, 1982, appears on the right, accompanied by either no mintmark, for Philadelphia, or a D mintmark, for Denver. The reverse in 1982 was still the Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo. As with all memorial cents, the reverse shows the monument with "United States of America" across the top rim, "E pluribus unum" above the memorial, and "1 cent" along the bottom. What's important here isn't the design. It's the varieties created by the transition and how subtle differences in date size and planchet composition make certain coins scarce and valuable. Mintage and varieties. This is where things get fascinating. Between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, billions of cents were produced in 1982. But because of the shift in metal composition and the use of both large and small date punches, there are 8 recognized varieties. 1982 copper large date, Philadelphia. 1982 copper small date, Philadelphia. 1982 zinc large date, Philadelphia. 1982 zinc small date, Philadelphia. 1982 D copper large date, Denver. 1982 D copper small date, Denver. 1982 D zinc large date, Denver. 1982 D zinc small date, Denver. Collectors often use a simple trick to tell the difference, weighing the coin. A copper cent weighs 3.11 grams, while a zinc cent weighs 2.5 grams. The date style, large versus small, is determined by examining the shape of the numerals, especially the 2. On the small date, the 2 has a more delicate curve and the top of the 8 aligns differently with the 9. Errors and rare varieties. While all 8 varieties are collected, there's one variety that stands above the rest, the 1982 D small date copper cent. This coin is one of the most legendary modern rarities. Only a few confirmed examples exist, because by the time the Denver Mint switched to the small date design, they had almost fully transitioned to zinc planchets. But somehow, a small batch of copper planchets slipped through, creating a coin that shouldn't exist. This variety is so valuable that even circulated examples can fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, some have sold for over $15,000 or more, depending on grade and eye appeal. But that's not the only area of collector interest. The year 1982 is also known for a wide range of striking errors and die varieties. Double die obverse. Some 1982 cents show noticeable doubling in the inscriptions. Off-center strikes. Coins with the design shifted off the planchet are always valuable, especially when the date is fully visible. Clipped planchets. Because both copper and zinc blanks were being used, it's not uncommon to see clipped planchets from improperly cut stock. Transitional errors. These are the most dramatic. Transitional errors occur when the wrong planchet composition was used. The 1982 D small date copper is essentially a transitional error, copper used when zinc should have been in production. Market value. So what are these coins worth? Here's a breakdown. Common 1982 cents, copper or zinc, large or small date in circulated condition, these are worth face value. In high uncirculated grades, they might be worth $1 or $2. 1982 D copper small date, the king of them all. A circulated example can bring thousands, while uncirculated pieces have sold for over $18,000 at auction. Other varieties in high grade, even the common varieties can bring good money in mint state grades. MS-67 or MS-68 examples, especially with full red color, have sold for hundreds. Collector interest. The 1982 Lincoln cent is a must-have for anyone serious about the Lincoln series. Many collectors make it a challenge to assemble all 8 varieties, often using a scale and magnifying glass to sort through coins. Coin roll hunters, in particular, love searching for 1982s because the chance of finding a rare variety in circulation still exists, however slim. For new collectors, 1982 is an educational year. It teaches you about minting processes, metal composition, die varieties, and transitional errors, all in one. For advanced collectors, the chase for the 1982 D copper small date provides one of the most thrilling hunts in modern U.S. numismatics. And that's what makes the 1982 penny so fascinating. It's both a common coin that millions of people have in their change jars, and at the same time, it contains one of the rarest varieties of all Lincoln cents. 1992 D Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. When it comes to modern Lincoln cents, few varieties inspire as much excitement as the 1992 D close AM penny. On the surface, the 1992 D penny seems like one of the most ordinary coins imaginable, produced by the billions at the Denver Mint, still bearing the Lincoln Memorial reverse, and still part of the familiar design that Americans used every day. But beneath this normal exterior lies one of the most dramatic and valuable varieties in modern numismatics. To understand the importance of the 1992 D cent, we need to explore not just its history and design, but also the technical details of how coin dies are prepared, the subtle differences between the so-called close AM and wide AM reverses, and why a few pennies from 1992 slipped through with a reverse design that technically belonged to a later era. Historical context. By the early 1990s, the Lincoln cent had already undergone multiple transitions. In 1982, the composition was changed from 95% copper to copper-plated zinc, creating the light, 2.5-gram cents we still use today. The design, however, had not changed since 1959, when the Lincoln Memorial replaced the wheat ears reverse. But in the early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was preparing for a big shift. Starting in 1993, the Mint introduced a new reverse die style for the Lincoln Memorial cents. This new style changed the spacing between the letters A and M in America on the reverse. The normal circulation strike cents of 1993 onward were supposed to use the close AM design, with the A and M nearly touching. Proof coins, however, were supposed to use the wide AM design, with a clear gap between the letters. Here's where the story gets interesting. Somehow, a few dies intended for the 1993 circulation strikes were accidentally used in 1992. That means a very small number of 1992 and 1992 D Lincoln cents exist with the close AM reverse, even though all 1992 cents should have the wide AM design. This mix-up created one of the most dramatic and valuable varieties in modern coinage. Design features. The obverse of the 1992 D Lincoln cent is business as usual. Abraham Lincoln's profile faces right, with "In God We Trust" above, Liberty to his left, and the date, 1992, with the Denver D mint mark to the right. The reverse is where all the action happens. At first glance, the reverse looks like any memorial cent. But careful inspection of the word America reveals the difference. Wide AM, normal for 1992. A noticeable gap exists between the letters A and M. Close AM, rare variety. The A and M nearly touch, appearing much closer than on the standard design. It's a subtle difference, but once you know what to look for, it's unmistakable. And that tiny spacing change is what turns an ordinary 1-cent coin into a collector's treasure. Mintage. In 1992, the Denver Mint struck over 4.4 billion pennies. With numbers like that, the 1992 D penny is one of the most common coins in circulation. But within those billions, only a tiny handful have been discovered with the close AM reverse. Estimates vary, but collectors generally believe fewer than 20 to 30 confirmed examples exist today. That makes the 1992 D close AM one of the rarest varieties in the entire Lincoln Cent series. Errors and varieties. It's important to note that the 1992 D close AM isn't a traditional error in the sense of being a misstrike or a damaged coin. Instead, it's what numismatists call a die variety, a coin struck from the wrong die. In this case, the mint accidentally used a 1993 reverse die a year early. But collectors also pay attention to other varieties and errors for 1992 D pennies. Wide AM, normal 1992 D. These make up virtually all of the coins struck that year and are only worth face value in circulation, though pristine mint state examples with full red luster can sell for a few dollars. Repunched mint marks, RPMs. Since mint marks were still applied manually in 1992, some repunched Denver mint marks exist, creating collectible minor varieties. Die cracks and die breaks. As with any high mintage coin, die deterioration can create cuds, cracks, and chips that collectors enjoy. Off-center strikes or misaligned dies, though not unique to 1992 D, error collectors value these when the date is still visible. Still, the close AM reverse is far and away the crown jewel of 1992 D Lincoln Cents. Market value. The value of a 1992 D close AM penny is astonishing, especially when you consider it started life as just 1 cent. In circulated condition, even heavily worn examples can sell for $1,000 to $5,000. In higher grades, such as AU, about uncirculated, or mint state, prices can soar into the tens of thousands. Some of the finest known examples, with blazing red luster and little wear, have sold at auction for over $20,000 to $25,000. Meanwhile, ordinary 1992 D pennies remain worth 1 cent in circulation, or perhaps a few cents to collectors if they are in uncirculated condition. That massive disparity between a common coin and its rare variety keeps collectors constantly searching through pocket change, coin rolls, and old jars in hopes of striking gold, or in this case, copper-plated zinc. Collector interest. The 1992 D close AM has become a holy grail for modern Lincoln Cent collectors. It combines several irresistible factors. Extreme rarity, fewer than a few dozen examples are known. Dramatic story, a design mix-up at the mint, with dies used before their official year. Circulation fine potential, because it's not a proof-only issue, examples were released into circulation, meaning anyone could theoretically find one. Skyrocketing value, with sales in the thousands or tens of thousands, this variety turns an ordinary penny into a life-changing discovery. The excitement around the 1992 D close AM has even inspired broader interest in the wide AM versus close AM varieties of Lincoln Cents. For example, 1998, 1999, and 2000 close AM varieties also exist and are collectible, though not nearly as rare as the 1992 D. Conversely, 1998 S, 1999 S, and 2000 S wide AM proof cents are popular among variety specialists. The 1992 D close AM is the rarest and most valuable of them all, making it the centerpiece of this fascinating niche. Why it matters. The 1992 D Lincoln penny teaches collectors a valuable lesson. Sometimes, the tiniest design details matter more than anything else. A small shift in the spacing between two letters on the reverse creates a variety worth thousands of dollars. That's why close inspection is key in numismatics. It also represents the importance of transitional varieties, coins that bridge two design eras. In 1992, the mint was preparing for 1993, and that overlap created one of the great treasures of modern coinage. Conclusion. So there you have it, the top 3 rare era Lincoln pennies 1-cent coins. The 1990 D Lincoln penny, with its double dies, repunched mint marks, and off-metal errors that make an ordinary coin into a prized collectible. The 1982 Lincoln Penny, the year of transition, with 8 varieties, and the legendary 1982 D small date copper cent worth tens of thousands. And the 1992 D Lincoln Penny, home of the close AM variety, one of the rarest and most valuable modern Lincoln cents, worth as much as a new car if you're lucky enough to find one. These coins remind us why the Lincoln cent remains the most popular and most studied series in U.S. coinage. They teach us that even the smallest coin in our pockets carries stories of history, economics, minting technology, and the thrill of discovery. So next time you're sifting through your change, keep a sharp eye on those dates and details, because your next penny might just be worth a fortune. And that's why here on the Coins Numismatic Series, we love diving into these treasures of history. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe, share this video with fellow collectors, and let us know in the comments if you've ever come across one of these incredible Lincoln cents. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your next coin roll hunt bring you one of these rare and exciting finds.